learners, today we will discuss about the travel agency. The concept of travel agency in modern sense originated in England. The Cox and Kings was the first travel agency started in 1729. There are many aspects of travel that need careful planning and handling. For example, mode of transport, then there is a link transport, accommodation, meals, shopping, entertainment, etc. Hence, dependence on a travel agency. Not all traveler has the energy or time to organize all travel arrangements. For example, if you are planning to go out with your family or friends, so you may take the help of travel agent, or you may book your all travel arrangements on your own. So if you are dependent on a travel agent, because travel agent is a one who has the link with the supplier of services. In supplier of services, there are hotels, there are just airlines, then railway tickets are there, then they have the services of the road transport. So all these services are there with the travel agent. So many times people, they prefer to go to travel agent so that in one point, in one place, they will get all the services. So travel agency is responsible for organizing travel. It provides a link to the supplier of services with the tourist or traveler, you can say. So travel agency is like a retail store. It acts on behalf of both the suppliers as well as the clients. So one side there are the suppliers of services and the other side are the clients. So travel agency is a link in between the both. For example, a tourist visits a travel agency to meet his or her travel demands. Travel agency books air tickets or rail or road tickets, then arrange for his pickup from the airport, then book his or her hotel, then etc. So in this process, a person who is planning to travel, a tourist or traveler, will get all the services in one place. Whereas if one is planning to book all the services on his own, if one is planning to go out with the friends or family, so maybe nowadays, as you know, internet facilities there and everything online is available. So you can see on your mobile phone also which type of hotels are available in that particular destination where you're planning to go, then which mode of transport is there, how you are planning to go. It depends on your budget also. So if you have the surplus money with you, then maybe you will prefer only the airline, or not only budget only, there are many preferences also. Sometimes to go to a particular destination, if you heard from your friends or family that if you go to that particular place by train, then it will have more pleasurable journey, then you can see other things on the way also. So it depends purely like how you are planning to travel to that particular destination. Then which sort of hotels are available over there. There are hotels, there are resorts, there are guest house and many other type of accommodation like tents are also available. So different options are there. So nowadays everything is like available online. You can see what all options of accommodation over there. Then within that city also, where you can go for shopping, where you can go for other adventure activities. So all these things are available online also. But many times people, they don't have that much time also, so they may go to travel agent, they may request travel agent to book this tickets or hotel room etc. for that particular traveler. So the traveler, as the basic job of travel agency is to book the tickets, as usually mostly people go to travel agent just to book the tickets. But other than the tickets, there are other services also, as I told that they are selling the package tour also. Like sometimes tour operators, they have the package tours, they give to travel agents to sell package tour for them. So they have maybe 3 nights or maybe 5 nights, they have package tour to sell to the tourists. So travel agency, they are also selling the package tour. Then they are also giving the individual services also. If you just want the tickets only to be booked by the travel agent, rest of the things you can accommodate on your own. Maybe you are going to a particular destination where your relatives are already there, so you need not the hotel room to be booked for you. So you just need the tickets to reach to that particular destination. Then you may prefer to stay with your relatives or maybe with friends, and then rest of the things you want to do on your own. So it depends upon you which type of services you want from the travel agency. So in all these services, the travel agency has provided business to the suppliers of services while serving the tourists at the same time. So as I told you, tourist or traveler is there on the one side and travel agency is there in between, and the other side is the supplier of services. And supplier like airline seats are there to sell to the tourists, then railway tickets are there, then road transport is there, then hotel is there, package tour is there, and the link transport is also there. So all this comes under the supplier of services. And then we go to the next important role of travel agency, which is, you can say, it's not only booking the tickets, but other than the tickets, in the next we will discuss about the operations. But before we go to the operations of the travel agency, let us discuss the basic qualities of personnel working in a travel agency. So there are few basic qualities which one should carry who is planning to work in the travel agency or who is working in the travel agency, like executives who is there in the reception desk or who is there in the ticketing desk should know the basic things. For example, one should be courteous and helpful to the clients, to the travelers, then able to look at the minute details. If you are executive in the ticketing desk, so you should have the knowledge of how to look at the minute detail, especially for example you are booking a ticket, so you should know which flight number, which gate number, and there are so many other small important things which one person should see minutely. Then next is ready to work under pressure. So that is another very important aspect of the person who is working in the travel agency. Like there are at times when suppose there is a peak season, so in the peak season maybe you will get the surplus bookings, so maybe 2-3 customers are already there waiting in your travel agency, and parallelly you are getting phone calls also, and phone calls also people are asking for so many things, they want this ticket, that, or they have some queries. So how to work in that situation, so one should know how to work under pressure also, one should not lose the temper in that particular situation. So other important aspect is preparing to work for solving the problems. One should be prepared to work for solving problems. So if there is some problematic situation, so how to solve that problem, so that ability, that skill should be there with the personnel who is working in the travel agency. The next important is the proficient in language, which is very important. For example, you are dealing with the foreign tourists. For example, if you are travel agency who is looking after the foreign tourists also, or who is selling the other countries also, so one should have the proficient in language, especially in the English, because if you are to deal with the foreign tourists, and sometimes some foreign languages should also be known, and other than that the local languages also if you are dealing with the domestic tourist. So this proficiency in language is another important aspect. Then beside those, there are some other important factors. For example, a sound knowledge of geography. So a sound knowledge of geography is very important, because if you are selling a destination, if you are sending your this tourist to different part of your country, so in that particular area, in that particular destination where tourists are going, so what is the climate over there, how to go ahead with that. Then if they are going to that particular destination, from there if they want to visit the nearby destinations, so tourists can ask you what all other options are available, where I can go from there. So one should have the sound knowledge of geography, especially of own country if you are selling the domestic, catering to the domestic tourists. And other than that, you should have the knowledge of the other international destinations also which you are selling to the tourist. Then other than that, another important aspect is reading map and seasonality. So this is another important thing to know, because reading map is a basic thing, because if you are sending your tourists to different places, so you should have the knowledge of that particular areas. And seasonality is also important, because sometimes the different climates is there. So right now, if you are sending your tourists to the say Kashmir or maybe Shimla, so there the weather will be really cold as compared to Delhi. So and if you are selling your tourists to the south, So the weather will be different as compared to north, so that knowledge should be there. Tourists can ask you about the climate condition over there. Then next is a fair knowledge of customs and practices in different countries or at the destination one is dealing with. This is another important thing, because knowledge of customs and practices followed in that particular destination, in that particular country, is also important to inform to your tourist, to your traveler, about that customs and practices which are being followed in that particular destination. So one should follow those things once tourist is visiting to that particular destination. Then next is information about health, visa, permit and foreign exchange rules. Why it is important? For example, information about health, visa, permit and foreign exchange rules. Like in some countries, before getting the visa of that particular country, they want the medical clearance. So for that medical clearance, one has to go for the medical checkup. Then if it is everything is okay, then only they will give the visa of that particular country. Similarly, sometimes there are special permits are also required to go to a particular destination. So that one travel agent should inform to the tourist if they are going to that particular destination where permits are required. So it's better to inform to the tourist in advance that these permits are required to go to that particular place. So maybe that permits will be they will get the permit from that local authorities, but it is important to inform to tourists in advance. Then again, foreign exchange rules, as foreign exchange rules are vary from time to time, so that also it's important to inform to the tourist. The next is the knowledge of the arithmetic, as fares has to be calculated. So executive or person who is working in the travel agency, they have to calculate the fares. Like fare, if they are selling the tickets, obviously they will calculate the fare of from destination A to B, how much total fare will be there, they have to calculate. Then if they are selling the hotels also, everywhere whatever they are doing, so basic calculations they have to do, so they should have the knowledge of arithmetic. Then should know working on the computers. As you know, nowadays everywhere it is computerized, so one should have the sound knowledge of computers, how to work in the computer, internet and all the ticketing and all, they are computerized nowadays everywhere, so they should have the sound knowledge of the computers. Then a travel agent should be always granting fares, schedules, cost, availability, seasons, regulations, etc. Why? Because fares, you know, as they vary from time to time. So sometime if it is the last moment, the fare may be very high in the airlines, you know, and sometime if it is a peak season, so their fares will be low. They will airlines will give some discount as well. So whatever fares are there, so accordingly you have to inform to your clients. Then schedule of the flights, then cost, then availability. Availability is very important, because for example someone has contacted you in the last moment whether the airline seat is available or not, or if you are selling a destination, in that destination if it is a peak season, whether the hotel rooms are available or not. So availability is also very important to check before booking the tickets for the tourist. Then season, as I told you, whether it's a peak season or it is off season, that is important to know. Then the regulations. So all these things are very important to know before selling any destination or any place to the tourist. So I will just give you an example. There is for example, a tourist or traveler visited a travel agency just for the booking of tickets. So that person is waiting the travel agency and executive is booking ticket for him. So while booking ticket, again the tourist asks the travel agent, suppose he is from Delhi to he is going to Chennai. So he is asking the agent that I am going there Chennai, so just in the evening I have 3-4 hours with me, so where can I go in the evening for just local sightseeing? If I have the 3-4 hours with me, where all I can go just in 3-4 hours nearby destinations to Chennai. So that agent will say, okay, yes, you can go to this beach, you can go to that particular area, or maybe nearby destination. He will explain to that tourist. So within 3-4 hours you can cover these nearby destinations, so that you can save your time also, and like whatever way you can spend your time. So this is an example of a good travel agent, whereas the other side is also there. So in other same situation, one person, tourist, has visited a travel agency and requested for a ticket from destination A to B. There again, meanwhile, the agent is booking ticket for him. So meanwhile, he just requested that yes, I'm going from this to that place. So there in the evening, I have few hours with me. So where can I go? Or I have one next day, I'm free. I'm going for official meeting. So next day, whole day, I have time with me. So where I can go? So agent is busy in booking the tickets. So you can say yes, you can check it online. And nowadays, all the information is available on your mobile phone. So you can check online. So I'm busy with some other things and all. So that way, that agent, maybe the tourist will say, okay, then don't book my ticket also. That ticket also I can book on my own. So tickets are also available online. So no need to book the ticket also. So that is not a good example, because whenever you are selling something, if the additional information also some tourist is asking you, or traveler is asking you, you can give the additional information also, because that's why they're saying the knowledge of the geography, knowledge of that nearby destinations, and what all seasons are there, which are special destinations which one can cover within short hours or maybe in one day. So that information should always be provided to the clients, so that next time also that person will come to you, or maybe just this time maybe that he came for booking tickets, so next time he can request for more other things, maybe package tour also he can ask you. So you should have the information on your tips so that you can share with your clients. Now we will discuss about the operations of travel agency. So travel agency performs a number of tasks, that is from booking tickets to baggage insurance, facilitation, etc. The first basic thing is the ticketing. That is the basic operation of the travel agency. This is probably the most obvious and common function of a travel agency. There are primarily two modes of transport most travel agencies do ticketing for in India, that is air travel and rail travel. In some places, the road transport is also included. Some people also go to travel agents for booking the tickets for the buses and other road transport. But air travel and rail travel is the more common. So air travel has the two main departments. One is the domestic tickets and other is the international tickets. First is domestic tickets. This is a term used for all travel within the country. With the growing of the airline network, frequency and competition between airlines, it is the most busy department of any travel agency. The executive of the desk needs to know about how to read a flight schedule, flight route schedules. So this shows the way the aircraft flies for the journey. So it is very important for the executives to know about the flight schedules, flight timings, as they are selling the airlines tickets. So then next is departure and arrival timings. That is also very important to know if you are booking the tickets, because most schedules work 24 hours time clock and no AM PM. So it is further important to know the days of operations, like if one particular airline you are selling, so how many days in a week that is airline is operating, then number of stops it makes, that is another important thing. Then type of class of travel available in that particular airline, then type of meal services on board, which type of meal services they are offering, vegetarian, non-vegetarian, some special meal for kids, etc. The next is airfare. So it is important to know the airfare applicable for the journey. With the growing of competition, there are many airfare now available for domestic tickets. Normal fares are based on the following classes of travel, like economy class is there, business class is there, first class is there. So it depends upon your budget, which type of tickets you are booking. So different class of travels is available. But there are special fares also offered by many airlines, like point-to-point fares. These fares allows passenger to break journey during the route of the flight. The next is student fares. This will give discount to the students in the domestic as well as in international flights. Then discount fares are there. These include discount for armed forces, blind persons, airline employees, or widows, etc. So there are different categories of discounts offered to these people. Then there are night fares. In order to maximize the use of airline, introduces discount fare for travel in off-peak hours. So more incentives are being introduced by private airlines, such as travel one way, return will be free, then travel 10 journeys, then one may be free, then frequent flyer scheme is there. So similarly there are many other offers are there which are given to the clients. Then another important aspect of this under ticketing is booking and cancellation. So booking, the first practical approach to any reservation request is to be able to book on a flight. So for example, a client has visited travel agency to book a ticket, and if it can be flight ticket, it can be a rail ticket. So it is very important to always first check the flight operating between the 2 points and their flight number. Then days of operation in a week, how many days that flight is operating. Then routing and stops it makes. And then class of travel available. As I told you, there are first class, business class, this economy class. So class of travel is available with that particular airline. Then for reservation of flight, one must be familiar with the city or airport codes, then reservation codes, special request codes. So there are different codes are given, abbreviation is given to maybe, for example, Delhi. So it's like while booking the ticket, you will not mention the word complete Delhi, so that abbreviation you will use. Then similarly, if there is some special request, if some VIP guests are there, so there will be all the codes will be used. So one should know about the codes while the time of booking the tickets. Then another important aspect, that is the cancellation. So it is very important to make and know the passenger aware of the cancellation rules each particular airlines would apply. So for example, postponement of journey is treated as cancelled, and rebooking or rescheduling of the tickets, so there may be some cancellation, like if cancellation 48 hours before flight departure, then what will be the norms? Then if cancellation less than 48 hours or cancellation less than 24 hours, etc. So what will be the rules? How much one has to pay, or like if in case of cancellation, so if it is 48 hours before, so how much customer has to pay? So all this information one should know. As I told you, postponement of the journey is treated as a cancelled, but still there are certain norms the person should know if the client will ask you. So one should have the information to inform to the customer. Then there are special services. So while making a reservation, you could also make request for special facilities which are available for your clients' specific needs to make the journey a pleasant one. So these are there, like meal request. There are vegetarian and non-vegetarian meals are available. Then special seat arrangements are there. If someone wants the window seat, front, back, or some other request. Then wheelchair assistant or some other type of assistant if the person required. For example, if the old age people are traveling, so they may need the wheelchair assistant, or someone with physical handicap category, so they need some special assistant. So all these type of special assistant or facilities are there. So one should inform that travel agent or the executive working there should inform to the customer, or if the customer asks for these services, so one should be able to inform it immediately. Yes, this type of service is available for you or your relatives or friends. Then if you are traveling with infant, then if you need some special assistance, so what all services are there. Then if there is an unaccompanied minor is traveling, so what type of services are available for him or her. So these special services should be make available to your traveler or client, you can say, so that they can avail these special services. Then next is the airline obligations to the passenger. Like airline also have some obligations to their passengers. So all these obligations they cover like insurance coverage. So if something happen, if some mishappening is there, so that insurance coverage is there. Then delayed flight. For example, your flight is delayed for say few particular hours. So there are different norms. If it is a evening time or if it is a lunch time and your flight is delayed for say 5-6 hours, so in that case they are supposed to provide you light snacks, or if it is a lunch time, maybe food to the traveler. Then for a missed flight or a cancelled flight, so what will happen if your flight is cancelled? So in that case, what are the rules and regulations in what airline services they are going to give to the traveler? So that information should be there with the travel agent, and they should pass on this information to the client. Then if flight overflies your destination, then what will happen? So these are few basic information one should inform to the client. Then next is another important thing, as we are discussing about the travel agency's operation. As I told you, we have discussed in brief about the ticketing. In ticketing also, how to book the tickets, cancellation rules and special services. So all this we have discussed about the travel agency. So other important thing is revenue. How travel agency is getting revenue. So here I will discuss about the areas from where the travel agency is getting revenues. So travel agent receives from the airlines a standard commission on the fare he or she sells. In some cases, for promotional reasons, there is an overriding commission also, or some other kind of benefits are also given. So many travel agencies claim service or booking charges from the clients also. So on the one side, they are getting commissions from the airlines, and other sides, in some cases, they are also taking this booking charges from the clients. So this is how the travel agency is getting the revenue. Then we will discuss about the international ticketing. So all travel internationally is dealt in this department, because in the previous slides I have discussed about the domestic tickets. So now we will discuss about the international ticketing. So all the international tickets are dealt by the international ticketing department. Because of the number of cities and airlines involved along with the countries, the working is more complex in this particular desk of the travel agency. Yet the basic procedures are same. For rail booking also, it must to know the railway timetables and procedures to book the tickets. So this was about the travel agency which we have discussed today. Like first we have discussed about what is a travel agency, how it has started in the past. Then we have discussed about the role of travel agency. Then I have also explained you about the various skills that personnel should know who are working in the travel agency. Then we have discussed about the operations of the travel agency, what all operations the travel agency is doing. Then in brief we have also discussed about the tickets. In ticketing we have discussed about the how booking, cancellation and other special services which are available to inform to your clients. So in this class we have discussed about the travel agency. I have explained to you about the concept of the travel agency, how it has started in the past, then the role of a travel agency. Then we have discussed about its various operations. Then in brief we have learnt about the ticketing also. Then we have discussed about the special services which are available to the travelers or tourists, you can say. Thank you.